a long-term relationship and you are having problems with your partner and things are not going so great, stay tuned for this whole video as I give you my best tips on how to get through these hard times and come out the other end. If you're new to my channel, my name is Alicia and I make weekly videos on relationships, dating, and just how to live a better and happier life. Check out my channel if you haven't already, as I have some fantastic interviews with the best relationship coaches around the world. I'm dedicated to helping you live a better life and have a happier relationship. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. Tip number one for when you're having a hard time in your relationship is look out for your mentality at this time. Often what happens is we get ourselves stuck in a position where we are acting like a victim. We are feeling sorry for ourselves, we're looking at what is it that's gone wrong, and we basically get into a spiral of feeling helpless and we can't dig ourselves out of it easily. If you notice yourself being in this position and feeling like you're a victim, what you have to do in this moment is start taking power and understand that you have the power to change exactly how you're feeling, how you're being treated, and where you want things to go. Many times when this happens to us, we're actually feeling really low about ourselves and we aren't feeling great. So the first place to start is start within and do something nice for yourself. And you may actually notice that when things aren't going great, you're not speaking nicely to yourself from within. So start looking there and do something kind that will make you feel good about yourself and change your inner voice on what you're saying. Some things to make it easier for you to be able to do this is moving on to tip number two is start looking back to the beginning of your relationship and what made you two come together and bond well. How were you feeling when you first got together and what were the feelings that you had? I want you to look back to times in your relationship when things were going really well and you were feeling confident. Think about what were the things that you were doing at that stage and what can you do now that can help you get back to those feelings of that confidence and that new feeling that you had at the start of the relationship. One of the best things about a long-term relationship is looking back at the memories that we've both shared together and looking back at how it all started and remembering how we felt. You'll likely notice that when you look back over your past, you actually remember how you felt rather than what you were doing. But the reason that those memories are so special to you is because of the feelings that you felt within. The third thing that I want you to do is look back to the beginning of the relationship or a time in your relationship when things were really blooming and start doing some of those behaviors that you were doing at that time. Some of these small things could be getting a coffee from your partner's favorite place that they like, writing a special note for them, doing something that makes them feel good. Maybe you give them a massage, maybe you buy them something, maybe you talk to them in a way that they like. And this really reignites and makes them feel special like they did in the beginning of the relationship. And in turn, what you get from that is you also feel good because you're giving from a place of love. But make sure that when you are giving, you have to fill up your cup first before you can start giving back to them. The next thing that's really going to help you, because you may be wondering, how is it that you can give to them when you're feeling resentful, when you're angry about things? And just remember and remind yourself that you will get nowhere holding on to these harsh feelings. Maybe your partner has hurt you. It's often how we look at it and how we've dealt with it that makes us feel upset and makes us feel angry. And what you may also notice within yourself is when you've let your boundaries down, when you haven't spoken in an assertive way but a kind way, and maybe you've lashed out and you've gotten angry, or you've been really passive aggressive, or you've not said something that you needed to say, that is when your anger will be up the most because you personally haven't expressed the way that you need to and want to express. So when we actually do things that feel good to us, that we know is within our boundaries, that was in alignment with who we are, that is when we can start feeling really good. So reminding yourself that whatever feelings that you have, there is no point, there's nothing that you're both getting out of being angry at each other or holding a grudge to each other. There's nothing we get from that other than having that instant gratification that yes, we can be angry at them because they did this, this, or this. But if it's a relationship that you want to stay in, if it's a healthy relationship that does grow over time, and it's a relationship that you really want to work on and that you've been mostly happy in, then it's time to understand that it's better to let go of these feelings that you hold, and that holding a grudge will get you nowhere. Sometimes we like to stay angry at somebody just because it feels good to be angry and it feels good to us to be right. but often it doesn't get us the desired outcome. And once we realize that I need to address this, and this is the way that feels true to me to address it, that is when we can move forward and feel happy and feel like we can get back into that loving place again. And the fifth tip that I have for you is to check where you are within yourself and make sure you're in alignment, know where your boundaries are, and understand what's going on in your life that can make you feel better and make you feel happier. What are the things that are not working out so well and why? And where are those things coming into your relationship and affecting how the two of you are getting along? Sometimes we just overgive or we try and get a result, but we're not actually in the right mindset and we're not in a good mentality to be able to get that result. So go away and do some observing of yourself, understand how you're feeling and what's going on for you, and how is it that you can get yourself out of that rut. And that brings us back to the tip number one, which was work out where your mind is at and get yourself out of that victim mentality. And once you start working on yourself and take the time for you that you need, you'll notice that if you go to your partner with a fresh mind and a fresh attitude, this really helps you guys get along and it helps the relationship blossom because you are blossoming as a person. I hope that my tips have been helpful for you today, and be sure to write in and let me know what are your questions around relationships, dating, and life in general. I would love to help you out and see you in my next video.